Hello, my name is Solar Teddy Bear, and not M this time, but actually Adair for the context of this video, and welcome to my channel. Now, for any returning viewers, it's definitely been a hot minute since you've heard my voice, probably about, I don't know, 3 months. But here I am, out with what I promised in my last video where I was talking. I do hope you, returning viewers, or anyone going through my videos, like the little teaser I posted recently to tease this video. It took like 2 hours to make that. I'm really proud of it. Please watch it if you haven't. I really like it. I like it a lot. This video is going to be a video explaining the lore, starting one of my main OCs or characters, the Embodiment. And just a small warning here, this video may contain mentions of violence or psychological distress. Also yes, this OC in particular is really cringe, but let me be cringe. I don't even roleplay anymore, so this isn't being used in any roleplays. I just made this little OC because I like them. They're cute. They're super awesome. They're radical. So, to start off, the multiverse at which my OCs reside in, more specifically, the OCs I'm going to be talking about in this video, the Embodiment, and partially Charlie and Lindell, which I'll mention later, is related to that Matrix stuff. I don't know a whole lot about it. I haven't researched the Matrix theory extensively. All I know is that it's about how everything is a simulation and all that, and everything is made of numbers and code. But this is just like a small piece of the story that's important, doesn't play the most important part of the story. So, because in this multiverse made of code, there's bound to be some glitches or things that aren't supposed to happen, because that happens. There's bound to be some bugs or some glitches, and people gotta fix them. And that is when M, Proto, Sunny, Fee, and Jared Jared were born. Honestly, I love how I named them all. I gave like all of them except for Jared's like completely unique names. There's like M, Proto, Sunny, Fee, Jared. I love that. I love that so much. No offense to any Jareds out there. I know a Jared. He's pretty cool. That's actually where I got this name from. If you're watching this, Jared, hi Jared. You're pretty cool. Thank you for letting me copy your homework in history class in middle school. Okay. To make things simpler, I'll refer to those 5, M, Proto, Sunny, Fee, and Jared, as the Embodiment. The Embodiment is what I call, in my OC universe, Celestials. But in more specific terms, they're code clusters. Scraps of unused or glitched code that clump together to make a huge mess abomination. When a code cluster can be as sentient as a human, it's called a celestial. If not, it's simply just code cluster. The Embodiment was born at the beginning of time when the universe had just begun, and unused glitch code came to form them. One thing to note for later is that being made out of glitches tends to have its perks. Just a thing to note later that will be mentioned. Don't forget it. For the first few seconds that they were all born, they were in a single, messy body that no one human would look at and think was normal, or think that it was natural to happen. They didn't know where they were, how they were, or who they were. And everything was black, pitch black, darkness. It couldn't see anything, not even themselves. Like, imagine how crazy that would be to not even be able to see yourself when you were just born. Well, you can't remember that, but that was before, however, they saw the multiverse come into view for the first time. Their panic stopped, and they all calmed down. And being the only sentient beings to live in the multiverse for a few millennia, they were lonely. But they also had a bit of a sense of duty. Like, they had to protect the oh-so-big multiverse they resided in. That's where the perks of being a code cluster come in, because they're basically just like one mashup of glitches, and they have access to the code and are able to manipulate it freely. They don't do this maliciously, however, and they just use it to help get rid of the less sentient code clusters, because they're just kind of like weird creatures that any human would see and just be like, oh my god, what is that? Oh, what is that? And the more hostile code clusters as well, because those can happen. For a very long time, the embodiment was lonely, and they only had each other to depend on. That was until they met Apollonia. And for just a warning here, this is a part where there be some mentions of violence. So just a trigger warning, if you want to skip ahead, I'll put a timestamp on the screen where you can skip ahead past this part. So Apollonia was a human. The time period was around ancient Greek era, 1200 BC to 680. The embodiment had never had experience interacting with anyone outside of the other creatures they shared a body with. That was all too powerful for one person, so reasonably, they were scared. But their fear soon subsided as they learned that Apollonia was fine with this. They were fine with how they looked. The embodiment watched humans from a distance and learned that they tend to fear things they don't understand. But Apollonia wasn't scared. She was more intrigued by the nonsensical appearance of the embodiment than scared of it. And the two became friends. Although the embodiment was less scared of humans, being that they knew Apollonia more, they were still hesitant to be around their towns. Whenever they would hang around Apollonia, they'd make sure to keep a good distance away from the town, out of caution. They'd explore together, and the embodiment would fly Apollonia around. Apollonia would teach the embodiment games she'd play with other children her age, and the embodiment told her about all the animals that they had watched over the millennia, about their favorite animal, cats. Wow. The more they learned, the more they understood each other. Humans needed to eat. The embodiment didn't know that. Humans need water? That's a concept completely outlandish to the embodiment. Completely. They continued to learn more and more from her until she had no more to teach. One day, she suggested that she would introduce the embodiment to the townspeople in her hometown. And at first, the embodiment was hesitant, but with some reassurance from Apollonia, they agreed. Trigger warning here. This ended in the embodiment getting berated, called a monster, and getting stoned. Apollonia tried to protect them, but ended up sacrificing herself. Just the deep distress from the embodiment watching their first human friend be perished in front of them caused them to lose control of themselves for the first time and absolutely level the town. Everyone gone. Oh my god. Everyone gone. The cattle gone. The buildings gone. I'm sorry. This is like such a dark part of the story. This is like the darkest part of the story. But I can't not take it seriously. Afterwards, the embodiment hadn't known what they had done or why they did it. Not even Apollonia's body was left of what the embodiment did to the town. To this day, despite that being such a long time ago, the embodiment never forgave themselves for it. And since that day, they decided to try to form a human disguise, and came to find out they could shapeshift via manipulating their own code. So in the future, when they'd go into human settlements, they'd make sure they were in a human form and were never seen outside of it. A few decades later is when the embodiment met the first ever sentient code cluster they'd ever seen. And they, or more specifically M, fell in love. Her name was Floris, and she had a cloud for a head and a dreamy green eye. When the two first met, Floris was a ball of fury. Fighting was a hobby of hers, and M, who avoided conflict at all costs, just watched in awe and admiration. The two would soon get married after knowing each other for a few decades, knowing that they were both immortal to age. Floris taught M and Proto how to fight. She taught those two everything they know, which is a lot considering M and Proto could wipe the floor with anyone in modern times. Now here's my favorite part. Time would soon go on, and the embodiment eventually met Charlie. Charlie claimed it was the current universe the two were in, like just the physical interpretation of the universe. And the embodiment definitely had a hard time believing that, as anyone would, and actually considered deleting Charlie for the shits and giggles. Like, oh, you're the universe. Okay, let's delete you and see what happens. But they soon noticed a pattern. Whenever Charlie seemed to feel sick, there'd be more code clusters and glitches around. Also, because, like, nothing much happened after the embodiment married Floris, a big time skip happened in, let's say, like, The embodiment met Charlie in like the early 1900s. Later on, even more decades later, in the 1980s, Charlie found a human baby boy lost in the forest. Charlie named him Lindell and took him in. Now I know you're wondering, how does this have anything to do with the embodiment? Just wait. It does come into the story a little later on, but just wait. They both lived together in the same forest that Charlie found Lindell in, and they raised him as their own. Honestly, it must be kind of weird to have a giant teddy bear as a mom. Not gonna lie. Imagine. Couldn't be me. As time went on, the effects of the forest, which was riddled with fairies, made Lindell a half-human, half-fae creature similar to that of a cryptid and a faun. A half-human, half-goat, or in this case, antelope creature. As Lindell grew up, Charlie taught Lindell how to manipulate code and gave him the ability to do so. He was able to manipulate his own code and be a shapeshifter similar to that of the embodiment, and was able to go out into the human world with a new human-like disguise. He was allowed to go out on his own when he was around 18 years old. He went to college and actually ended up meeting a love interest, another human named Brady. Now Lindell is gay, and Brady is a straight man. A straight man. And one day, Lindell, who I'll now refer to as Lynn, was asked by Brady to tag along on a flight to meet his family, old friends and fiance in his hometown. Lynn was in his 20s at the time, and Brady was like around the same age. Lynn agreed, but the flight didn't go so well and they crashed. Unfortunately, the only survivor was Lynn, including Brady, who had perished. And Lynn only survived because he called his mom, Charlie, who immediately rushed over. They healed Lynn, who would have died had Charlie not healed him, and both decided to rid Lynn of his human weaknesses via code. Lynn became entirely a fae creature, however he did have some of his human resemblance left, in his sentience and memories. In present day, Lynn is the king of the fae in the forest he was raised in. Lynn became a student of the embodiment, who had barely any teaching experience prior to teaching Lynn. They both learned a lot from each other. The embodiment had to deal with a lazy 20-year-old, and Lynn had to deal with a grumpy old celestial being that could do just about everything. Asterix gastroblasters you with 999,000 fucking gastroblasters. No dodge, no miss. Lynn and Charlie both loved to play pranks on the embodiment, and the embodiment would respond by throwing each of them several miles in the distance. As a reminder, Charlie is like a teddy bear and Lynn is like a short little 5'6" man, and the embodiment is like a 10-foot tall creature. Could pun anybody. Today, Lynn is 40 years old and Charlie and the embodiment are still as old as time, still doing classic shenanigans. I'll give Lynn his own video someday, but I might not give Charlie their own video on their lore because they're like my persona and they don't really have any lore to them besides haha silly universe teddy bear with the sun. Oh right, speaking of children, the embodiment and Flores had a daughter together and they're named Kara. K-A-R-A. She looks a lot like Flores but has M's eye. And that's about all I have to say about them. I might add in some notes I forgot in the comments or description, so keep a lookout. Also, any species I mentioned in this video, like the code clusters or celestials, those are not closed species. I don't care. Seriously, I do not care if you make your own species based on these, or if you like make your own character based on these. Just like, let me know. At me. I like to see that stuff. If you make it like based solely on like my species, I like to see that stuff. It makes me happy. Also, apologies if like throughout this entire video I sounded like I was gonna like break down and cry. I promise you I'm not. I'm completely fine. It's just I am not used to talking so much as I am right now, because right now the recording of the video just got to 21 minutes long and I've had to do like multiple takes, so my voice is a little dead, it's dying, so I sound like I'm gonna cry, but I'm not, I promise. And yeah, that's about it. If you'd like me to answer any questions, please comment down below. And please like and subscribe to the video. I'm a extremely small YouTuber and it would help me so much. You don't know how much it helps me get more advertised in the algorithm. So it was nice info dumping to you about this. I hope you enjoyed the last video I posted and I hope you enjoyed this video. So goodbye. I hope to see you again. Maybe I will post another video of me talking, and not as long as of a time as 3 months. So see you later and goodbye.